different. Ride of the Valkyries. Da, 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 da. That's proper villain shit. Those are good Nazis. Imagine watching Apocalypse Now. The Hueys are flying through the jungle, heading over hills, about to overtake this village and to strike fear into the hearts of the locals. They played the most intense song that the Nazis would play. They played, "'Cause I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free." Nazi song. Disappointed in our Nazis. I think I'm too happy talking about how they're Nazis now. I take too much joy. I think I enjoy "I Told You So" too much. Like, "I told you so" is the most empty calorie sentence in the world. "I told you so." Oh, it feels so good and so delicious, but it doesn't help anything. I'm worried "I told you so" is going to get me in trouble, and I'm not even going to realize I'm in trouble. I'm worried at some point I'm just going to be digging an irrigation ditch somewhere in Utah, just the only one digging the irrigation ditch in the camp, who's got a big old grin on his face, just like, "Called it." Yeah, but I told you they were Nazis. They said they were Nazis when Obama was president. I'm the smartest fucking guy in this death camp. Big old grin. They killed my uncle last Friday. I told you they were Nazis. But I'm thinking about politics a lot. Getting married, I had to do the seating chart. It's fun judging family, judging your loved one's family. I enjoy the drama that goes into a seating chart, especially in a COVID wedding. Oh, the COVID weddings were so good. Did you ever find yourself at the unvaxxed table at the COVID wedding? That doesn't feel nice. That doesn't feel nice. When you realize that's the factor that brought everybody together at that table, and then they just kind of assumed with you, that doesn't feel good at all. Like, Clay's sweaty. He just seems generally unwell. We'll stick him with the COVID table. I'm holding for applause right now for everybody listening at home. Can't hear, but whoever's on iPhone really liked that last one. Yeah, my fiance asked me what the theme of our wedding should be. Like, what should the theme of the wedding be? I said, my love, we are almost 40 years old. The theme is settling. We know what the theme is. Like, if you get married in your 20s, you say "I do." My age, you say "you'll do." It's less "I do." It's like, it's more of an "I guess" situation, you know? And, you know, if you think I'm being rude, look at me. Do I look like somebody's first round draft pick? No. No, this is Mr. Irrelevant territory right here. I'm fucking day 5 of the draft. The team's like, well, you're not our first 200 choices, but damn it, are you here? That's why I'm on the team right now. What's the theme? The theme is "I'm patient," and she finally took big dicks and financial stability off the vision board. That's what the theme is. That's why I'm paying for our families to drink. I'm excited to get married. I can't tell if I'm more excited for the marriage or the honeymoon. The honeymoon, man, you got to understand, as somebody who looks like me, a honeymoon, it's the only chance in this world that I have to go to Thailand without looking like a sex tourist. You realize that, right? For somebody who just wants cheap noodles, you realize how hard it is to get that without looking like I'm trying to have sex with little girls. It's difficult. It's difficult. I can't go to that country solo. I've aged out of backpacking. Not with this face, body, and glasses. Absolutely not. Hurts my feelings, man. I'm a wholesome boy. TSA doesn't believe me. Like, oh, you went for noodles? You went for elephants? Interesting name for lady boys. No. Noodles, she was the big one. You wouldn't expect that. You'd think it would be elephants. Thailand seems like a magical place to be. I'm very excited. That's how easily entertained I am. Just the thought of a $4 bowl of delicious curry will make me fly literally across the world to go do that. That's the state of like, I love Los Angeles to death. I love being here. I love that I can go get the most amazing food from any country in the world while I'm here. Don't like that it's $37 a person to do so. I will literally sit on a flight for 20 hours just to eat a cheap meal 3 times a day. I'm so excited to go. It's hard as somebody who's never been to get a feel for the place because there are very strict laws when it comes to slander. So you got to be careful when it comes to those Yelp reviews. A 1-star Yelp review can legally be considered slander. So it's kind of fun to just see those real backhanded 5-star reviews. That's actually been really enjoyable. You got to do the research when you go to a place like excellent hotel, 5 stars, 1 per roach. Like, oh, okay. I see you, Kathy. All right, get them. Not allowed to make fun of the royal family. And I wouldn't. I'll respect another place's culture. I would never make fun of their royal family there if they say that's illegal. I will say, as an American, it is very strange to me, that custom, very foreign to me. The idea of having so much respect for the royal family that they wouldn't be allowed to make fun of them. I don't get that as an American because I don't even respect the leaders that I voted for. Do you know how frustrating it is? Every 4 years to be like, I guess this is the best pedophile this time, I guess. Do you know how frustrating that is? Like, Bernie Sanders was my dude. Bernie Sanders was great, but I would push Bernie Sanders off a bench in a second if it meant I would actually get health care for the rest of my life. Like, that would be like, I care so little about these fucking people. If I could yell at you and it breaks your hip, I don't think you should be running our country. I think that's where we're at right now. Like, people say, like, we're heading towards Idiocracy. That Idiocracy was an accurate movie. That president was buff as shit. I wish we were like Idiocracy. It's so frustrating, man. Again, it all comes back to the schlubbiest goddamn Nazis that this world has ever seen. At least Putin has the decency to have that, like, buff fat guy body that right-wing people have. At least he has the decency to do that, to just kind of have that, like, skinny Alex Jones body. That's a proper villain right there. There's a reason Bond never had Louis Anderson play a villain, right? Like, we just okay. Holding for applause. Thank you, iPhone. All right, thank you, Michael. I think I see what might have been part of the technical issues here. When you hold up your phone to the camera to show me that I'm heading towards the end of my set, which I do appreciate. Excited to see that. Your laptop's camera was like, he doesn't need to know, and just eliminated that. I hope you know that. Next time you show somebody your phone, put it in front of your body, Michael, so we can see it. Don't just put it out there in space or it gets blurred out.
Yep.
That's why I've got the microphone here, because if the microphone is here, it looks like I'm just talking into like a Japanese penis. Like, it is just blurred out and phallic. You got to keep it in front of your body. Otherwise, the AI gets a little wiggity. All right, I'll leave it this because I mentioned AI. So now my weed riddled brain has thought of a new joke that I wanted to work out and had not done for the first 14 minutes. I'm part of the Screen Actors Guild, not a union. It's a guild. Unions have mafia leaders. Do you understand? And I mean that as a compliment. I really do. Unions have leaders like Jimmy Hoffa. The leader of my guild is Fran Dresser. It's different. It's less intimidating. Okay. I wish that the guild was ran like the unions did. They're already making AI commercials. I saw an AI commercial yesterday. We went on strike for months. We went without work for months, so this wouldn't happen. And it's already happening. I need Fran to act like Jimmy Hoffa. I need to have the CEO of Disney. I need Bob Iger to wake up with R2-D2's head just in his bed with him, like the Godfather. Just wake up with R2D2's head just in his bed, covered in oils. Oh, that's the only way we're going to beat the robots, you guys, with good old-fashioned anti-Italian stereotypes. You guys are lovely. Thank you for sticking around. iPhone, I believe in you. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to stop talking like I'm.
Hey, dude, can you hear me? You can hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that. I love it. Fantastic. Look, we figured it out. I just had some pre-roll from last week playing on StreamYard. So I was trying to figure out how to switch between the two. If you guys are listening to Ryan and I talk right now, we're about to start Comedy in English, the only online podcast / comedy show. Why? Because we figured out that comedy shows online require a podcast format. So
wait, this is supposed to be in English?
Well, it's suggested, kind of like the suggested donations. It's suggested to be in English. It doesn't have to be. Obviously, this is always my favorite part of a online show is when the gardeners outside decide this is the best time to blow the leaves. It doesn't fail, Ryan, does it? It's literally this. You're doing a self-tape, a job interview, anything of importance, therapy, any of those things. Which is fun. Somebody just put in the chat therapy penis. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means. I think I'll leave it at that. Guys, if you're watching this right now, we're going to start in a couple minutes. Right now, we're just waiting for Aisha to show up as well, too. Awesome lineup. We got a special guest as well, too. If you're wondering who I'm talking to, there's a private Zoom room. Go to Eventbrite and you can get that link. You can get that link and join us in the private Zoom room. Otherwise, if you're watching on KO Comedy, Comedy Hub, all over the interwebs, hello. Ryan, I did not realize that Yunus Musa would be starting for Atalanta when we would be doing this show. So
I mean, Ajax is playing Inter Milan right now.
Oh, yeah, that's more important to you.
Yeah. Yunus, I think, started his first game with. No, he came off the bench in like the 60th in his first game. Now he's starting. Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, there's Aisha right there. Speak of the devil.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hello.
Aisha Alfa, sweetheart of Studio City.
Ryan, do you guys know each other?
I'm not sure if we met. Ryan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Someone's taking notes. There's a robot.
It's 2025. There's robots everywhere. There's nothing we can do about it.
There will be robots.
They're just there. We can't even control them anymore. Pretty sure my note taker is sentient by now. Pretty sure that's a real thing.
Robot wars. Yeah, we're not winning if it's a robot war.
No. No, we are definitely not. Alrighty, cool. Maybe just making sure I got everything going good on the stream here. Everyone can hear us in the stream world out there, and let's just get this going. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back to Comedy in English, the world's only online hybrid podcast / comedy show. Why? Because after 5 years of online comedy, we finally realized that all comedy shows required to be in a podcast format online. I'm Michael Magid. I will be your host today. Joining me today, two unbelievable performers. And by that, I mean Michael's Fathom Note Taker. Let's give it up for Michael's Fathom Note Taker.
That's
joining us.
Two performers, note-taking and being a robot.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing is the reason that I needed to mention Michael's Fathom Note Taker is just in case the robots are sentient right now. I just want them to remember that. Remember the grace and dignity that I've given them this entire time.
They got their comeuppance. They got the credit.
they got the credit. But in reality, guys, we have two absolutely unbelievable comedians who've performed quite a bit in Canada. One is because they started out in Canada, and the other one is because they come out to Canada a lot. Let's give it up for one and only Aisha Alfa Ryan Conner, everybody! Woohoo! What, Aisha? You are already getting claps online in the chat. This is just unreal. Ryan isn't as impressed.
When you bring on an international human, you know, I've performed all over. I've lived all over. I've, you know, almost been arrested in many countries. You bring me on, you're going to get some claps. Some of them are just trying to extradite me back to their country so they can really charge me with what I did. But I'm not going. Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Now, Ryan, you and Aisha, you guys have never crossed paths, though, have you?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so. Where are you based? Are you in LA?
LA, yeah.
Huh, me too. How are we?
I don't know.
Our neighbors? Oh my gosh. What if our neighbors and we just have not been friendly enough to get to know each other?
I mean, it's possible. My neighbors are like squirrels and birds.
That's me. That's me and my kids.
I live on the forest.
Oh my God. That's me with my kids. I thought that was you. Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan actually can manifest himself into a bird or squirrel. So it very, very well.
Whatever's needed.
Could be Ryan.
Whatever's needed.
Very accommodating.
Now, both you guys are kind of making your triumphant return to comedy in English. Obviously, you guys have both done the shows in the Hostel venue when it used to be at HI Santa Monica. Yeah. Obviously, we've had some really interesting shows at that location. That's for sure. Ryan, I know you travel a lot doing comedy. What's kind of like your favorite part about doing comedy internationally?
Probably just having global entry and just being able to skip the line when I come back in. That's the real best part.
Comedy.
Yeah. I just flew back into the country on Monday and just being able to slip through. Pretty great.
Where were you?
Edmonton. Also, I think Canadian audiences are just better than American audiences generally, if we're being honest.
I mean, Aisha, do you want to step in on that one?
I mean, I grew up in Canada, so I'm very partial to Canadian humans and animals and energy.
I did not know that. I was not pandering.
No worries. I think, you know what's funny is for me, I think that it's a mix. And I like audiences kind of all over. If we're comparing like Canadian audiences to, for example, American audiences, I think the big difference for me is Canadian audiences don't like anything that seems like you're being mean. Like American audiences love when you're mean. Roast battles here is vicious, right? Like it's like just cut people down, cut people apart. And American audiences really enjoy that. Canadian audiences, they like it when you're like self-deprecating. They like it when you're making a point or you're being silly. You know, and another thing that is interesting to me is when I used to do comedy before I left, when we had Americans come to the club and they would be like, I'm a veteran. And they would every single time like stop and wait for applause. Whereas in Canada, being part of the military or the army, like no one cares. Like no one's like excited about that. So they would the people on stage would be like, oh, okay. Usually like gets a clap and they're like, oh. Then the Canadians would like politely clap like, oh, okay, yes, that's good. Sure. Anyway, but it was just such a funny, like there's so many differences you don't even notice. But I love a Canadian audience. People enjoy a bit of a silly, really good time in Canada.
Yeah, I think they like, generally, I think they appreciate material more than the US, where it seems like, especially with like there's a move in the US in the past, several years, where a lot of audiences just want you to come in and call them stupid.
Yeah, like the
make fun of their job.
Yeah, totally. There's less of that for sure. And I mean, you can still do it in Canada, but it's like people will actually sit and listen to the things you have, you know, carefully crafted.
Right. It's nice.
I will be completely honest, like, you know, with the whole crowd work thing, and obviously I don't want to say that it's become an epidemic, but literally every open micer who has just started doing comedy 30 seconds ago thinks that they can do crowd work now. It can definitely backfire in an international environment where there can be a lot of cultural, let's just say, differences or misunderstandings or miscommunications that sometimes can like lead to like some quality comedy in itself. Like, Ryan, have you ever had anything backfire in crowd work like that?
Nah, man, I don't do crowd work. I write jokes, so I do them.
I mean, I will just speak up and say that I don't think there's anything wrong with crowd work. I know that I think that's an unpopular opinion to have right now because I think everyone hates crowd work who's a comedian. And like, I write jokes, I perform them, whatever. But I kind of love crowd work. I love getting to know my audience. I love having a bit of a chit chat sometimes. And I think, especially if you've done corporate comedy, I feel like that's something that like legit can make or break your whole multi-$1,000 set that they're paying you to like at noon at a conference where nobody wants comedy and nobody cares about comedy, and it's like the motor like rivets industry, you know, and you're like, oh god, John, look at John with his pants up around, you know, it's like whatever, because sometimes it's just like people just want to be seen. And I think there's certain situations where like it's a beautiful thing and can be like really like pull people together, and then you can get on with your comedy if it's like you need to get like a corporate group going or like whatever it is. It's like the last comedian came on and said horrible things and you're trying to like, we're all in this together, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I do love, like, Michael, when you had your show at the hostel, I used to love just hearing where people were from and hearing like what jokes resonated or not, or like little tidbits, like, you know, the English language is so bizarre, and like doing comedy literally in English to people where it's their second language, where they have to like really count each word, almost like they're processing each word as you go, was such a fascinating experience, because it's not just like doing comedy for anybody. It's like you want to make sure that everyone's like, you understand, like this reference is this thing and this reference is that thing, you know. So I miss that. I miss doing it in person and getting to like know the audience a little bit.
You know, it's interesting that you just said that, you know, Aisha, because like Ryan, I understand like where all the kind of the drawbacks with crowd work nowadays, especially a lot of it is just very repetitive and it's the same thing. And it's a lot of just, you know, comedians writing bits and then just trying to find a setup by a person in the crowd so that they can do basically an orchestrated bit. But when you're talking about like what Aisha's talking about, like, I think that crowd work, when it brings the room together and everybody's on board and it feels like a communal, almost party type setting, I think is quality. Where are you from, or what do you do? In my opinion, that's not crowd work. Crowd work is actually engaging.
Right.
This is crowd work, engaging and having conversations with people and really getting to know what is making somebody tick, you know, as opposed to just going after somebody just to roast them. I mean, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, the crowd work that I like is the where they just go down a line asking everyone where they work. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, but the stuff that's for function, cool. I just don't do it myself. I write a lot, so I never have enough time to perform all that I write. So I'm like, when I'm on stage, I usually go on stage with a 2-hour set list and just try to figure out what I'm going to do from that 2 hours when I'm up there. So I feel like if I,
yeah, so, 2-hour sets? Or that's just
no. I do an hour. I do an hour, but I'll bring 2 hours
at the Ryan Conner comedy shows.
Where are you going? Where are you performing?
I'll bring 2 hours on and just like figure out like what I'm going to do of that 2 hours while I'm up there, you know? Yeah. So then I would feel like anytime anytime there's like a real like big digression from the plan, I'm like, shit, that's a bit that I wanted to do that now I can't do. So that's why I don't really do it.
I'm like so ADHD, I feel like, and like I can't, like, I sometimes I'll be like, okay, I have this bit, I really want to do it. And this is where I'm like the opposite, where I run into trouble, where I'm like, I want to try this bit out. It's new. I want to like work on it. And then I get up and something funny happens. And then it's like, I can't ignore this. And I just have to talk about it. That's just my personality. I can't get to my jokes sometimes. And there'll be times where then I get the light and I'm like, no, I haven't even done a joke. I'm like, I'm just reacting to literally what's happening right now. But it's like, it's so true. Like if you're, I think that's the difference of like people who are like, you know, professional club comedians, you know your time, you're really good at that, like you're trying to work on this stuff. I'm like, I perform at clubs, I perform at different places, but I feel like I wouldn't lead with that. Like people are like, I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm having a time up there. I'm trying to like, I got mom brain. I'm trying to like remember what my name is. Like I am all over the place. But I always admire people where they're like, this set is going to be 13 minutes. I'm like, wow, that's an internal clock that I wish I had more of.
Oh my God. I mean, speaking of that, I remember like the first time I performed in Boston, and like the guy who was running the show at a comedy club there, I forget the name of the comedy club. It may or may not exist anymore, but I go, oh, when do I get the light? And he goes, you don't get the light, you do your time and you get off. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't fucking know my time at all. I've no idea where I am right now. You do your time and get off. I'm like, okay. And it was kind of like that gruff working class Boston kind of point of view. And I was like, this is not going to go well for me. Something's going to happen to me after the show. The guy's wearing like black gloves. Like, I don't know.
Do you mind saying which room it is in Boston?
I think it was the Comedy was there a place called the Comedy Connection for a minute? Did that exist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I never did it, but I know what you're talking about.
Also, why was he wearing black gloves? Like inside?
Yes, he was wearing the black gloves inside. So, yeah.
Suspect.
He's at work.
A lot of the rooms are suspect, to be honest with you. My favorite thing though, so speaking of traveling, we're talking about, traveling in international, comedy shows and stuff, is that like there's places where I've gone before. And honestly, like I just see a lot of like older comedians who are like a lot of road dogs and everything like that. It's like they have a set for every town. They're like, oh, I'm in Minneapolis. Here's my 45 minutes on Minneapolis. And then I'm like, wow, they have all this material on Minneapolis. And I'm like, oh no, they're just literally changing the names of streets and references and everything like that. But it's the same bits. And that Ryan, I think that's like when you talk about like being unoriginal or hacky crowd work, in my opinion, that's the exact same thing too. It's like, you're not really doing anything. You don't really know anything about this town. You're just utilizing a skill set, a magic trick, basically. It's like magic, basically.
That's what it is. It's sleight of hand. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong with magic too. I mean, I went to have you guys been to the Magic Castle before?
It's my favorite place in LA.
Dude,
I go all the time. Yeah.
Oh my God. I went a couple weeks ago for the first time, and I saw this magician who had been doing, I almost said stand-up, but it's kind of like stand-up for 50 years. And it was unreal, because I'm like, 50 years. I'm like, okay, this guy's probably going to phone it in. He's probably like over it. It's the Wednesday night, like 11:30 show in like the small room at the Magic Castle. So I'm just like thinking of it as the same as like he's got a belly room spot at 11:30 and he's been doing comedy for like 50 years. No, this dude was amazing. There's like animals coming out of his body. Like, it's insane.
Top-notch performances there. I love that spot.
And it makes me realize too, it's like when I'm traveling and doing shows in places that don't necessarily get stand-up comedy all the time, it is kind of like that for them too, because like they're not as privy to a jaded Los Angeles audience or Chicago audience or New York audience. So for them, like they don't know any better. This is cool. I have to remember that and trying to keep, even though I'm trying to keep it fresh, I need to just make sure that they're having a good time. I mean, does that make any sense, Aisha?
Totally. I don't know. I'm like, I think because I had so many jobs before I got into stand-up comedy, like, I think I come at things from a more of a perspective of like, we're all in this together. We're going to have a great night tonight all together. I happen to be on stage. You're all looking at me just how I like it. But like, it's like a group effort. You know what I mean? If my audience is not having a good time, like, I want to take care of them. I want to like change my jokes. I want to stop what I'm doing. I want to shift whatever it is. And I think that, you're like places, I don't know if I'd call LA audiences jaded. I think that they're like, they've habituated to the excitement of having great comedy, because they have all of the big names dropping in all the time. Like, they're just like, that's sort of the level of expectation. And when you go outside of a hub like this, or like New York, then all of a sudden people are like, we don't have the Wanda Sykeses or the Sarah Silvermans just dropping into Rumors Comedy Club in Winnipeg, where I started, So it's kind of like, they are like so grateful to have you. And I think just even connecting it with the 11:30 show for this magician, like, you were grateful. You were amazed at what he was doing, because he came, he showed up, he did his thing, right? So I feel like if I'm going to go do a show, and I do stand-up shows less than I used to because I have 2 young kids. So when I come to do a show, you better believe Mama's going to have a good time on that stage. I want to give you the best version of me. I've come to perform and do my thing, you know, because I'm not doing it like 3 times a night, every night of the week. So when I come and I do it, it's like, it's all or nothing. So I think that whether that's like a small room in the middle of nowhere for like an early 5 o'clock show, or it's like a big club where you're in the lineup with big names, either way, it's our job to come and like show up and show out. And one of my pet peeves is when comedians come and you can tell they're phoning it in, or they're like, oh, you guys just don't get that joke. It works everywhere else. It's like, yeah, but you're doing a joke for these people right here. So don't blame them. Like, you're in it together. It's a collaboration in my mind. That's how I approach it. That's how I approach like most things in life. So
I mean, I think that's really a great point. You know, I mean, like, I think, Ryan, you know, one of the things for me, like when you're kind of, you know, pivoting back to the whole international element of it, is like every time I did shows at HI Santa Monica in that hostel, I felt like I was representing comedy for a lot of people who had never seen American stand-up comedy. And I'm using the term American stand-up comedy, you know, just as like a generality, that type of stand-up comedy before. And I want them to leave there going like, oh, I really enjoyed this. I want to see more of this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. That's why, yeah. I mean, I don't believe in mailing it in either for that same reason, you know?
Yeah. And I just think, you know, like kind of like before we kind of, you know, kind of start, you know, kind of putting this all together. And I don't know who wants to go first, who wants to do their spot first. Is Aisha or Ryan? I guess this is very professional of me. I'm like, how do, there's a lineup? No, there's no lineup. Just
as we're talking about not mailing it in.
Yeah, not mailing it in. It's like, we're just kind of putting it together. By the way, guys, if you want to make sure that that both of these comedians, especially Aisha, who has children and in the world right now, can feed those children or feed their dogs, you can donate and support artists, guys. There's a bunch of different ways. If you look in the chat right here, or if you're on Twitch and you're watching right now, we got Venmo, we got PayPal, we got Cash App, and we have Stripe. That's right, Stripe, guys. There's a Stripe account that you can donate for right there. If you want to use a credit card, you can do it that way, guys. Just check those all out. We'll keep those links going throughout the show as we start trying to put a bow on this. Ryan, do you have any favorite moments doing shows either overseas or at the hostel?
Overseas, sure. I mean, I love doing shows. Actually, a show I did in Victoria in November of last year was one of my favorite shows ever. I ended up doing like an hour and a half, as the crowd was just so good, and like I would have kept going, and the crowd was just so into it. But I was losing my voice because I just done like I think 5 nights in a row or something like that of doing long sets, and yeah, I would say there, but really, I mean, internationally, you know, I've done most Canadian cities. I've never done Winnipeg though.
Great club.
And then I've heard it's great. And then I've done Shanghai and Beijing, which is also very, very cool. Yeah, I mean, that was actually, you know, quite an experience. Like it, just in terms of the shows itself, was like I was stunned by like how many English speaking expats there were, and oftentimes men with Chinese wives that they met while they were working there. And then Beijing was kind of wild because I met a lot of journalists. That's most of the expats there. They either work in journalism or in government. But the ones who are in journalism, I heard some people who took me to the wall. They wrote for, I can never remember it, but it's one of the Chinese state papers in English. It's just state propaganda, you know? And I asked, I was like, what's it like writing for them? And they're like, I don't know. They're like, we just write the stories and then we hand them to our editors and then they change them to make them propaganda.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But I don't know.
It's not that always different than our papers here in the United States.
I love doing Canada.
So.
Yeah.
I was like literally just saying, I was like, well, it doesn't sound like that different than our papers in the United States.
Yeah.
States now.
Fair. Yeah.
In regards to that, that's insane, Ryan. I mean, but like at least that's actually more freedom than I expected. I expected them to have to write the propaganda. So the fact that they're able to share their
On,
share their opinion.
you know, everything's malleable. Everything's malleable there. You know, I was told after a show by this dude. He's from Boston. He lived there for 9 years at the time. He came up to me and he was like, "Hey, if you're interested, right down the street is the only legal hash bar in all of China." And I was like, "Nah, that means it's not a legal hash bar. All right. if you could have a legal one, there would be millions of them." But he's like, "Yeah, they just give a little bit of money to people. You know, everything's pretty malleable there. You know, as long as you don't piss off the wrong people."
Yeah.
Aisha, have you ever had a police state situation traveling overseas?
Huh. I mean, I did a lot of traveling before I got into comedy. And that was a whole other bird. That was when I was young and reckless, very reckless. And some of the stuff I got into and then got out of is kind of like wild. And I'm not sure how I'm not dead 3 times at very least. And now having kids, I'm like, you're not allowed to do anything. Like, I'm like so scared they'll be at all like me. But I feel like not really for stand-up shows. I mean, most of the times where I've traveled overseas, it's been to a festival or some big thing where you kind of are treated really wonderfully and like a star, and you're, you know, escorted around and taken to places and whatnot. Or if you have friends there, they take you to the cool places. But I just felt very safe and taken care of everywhere I've gone. Especially like getting to know the comedians from there. Like when I was in South Africa, like I love the South African comedians that I performed with and got to know, and I'm still friends with them like years and years later. And I know that, you know, South Africa can be dangerous or have a bad rap, but I never felt like I was in danger. I was with the homies, like going to the, you know, the places that you go to. So yeah, I haven't really experienced that. But again, that's always been, I haven't done a ton. You know, I've done South Africa, Switzerland a couple times, England, like a couple places. It's not like I've been to really like scary places.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's all relative to like who you're around and the environment that you're around, regardless. And I think, you know, that's one of the really cool things, you know, kind of as we kind of start ending this and going into the first set, is just that, like, you know, comedy brings people together. Generally, if you're in an environment where people are there to see comedy, they're not there with negative intentions, you know, for the most part. Let's not get into the whole heckling conversation, but for the most part, they're there to be entertained. And they're not there to, you know, to cause a problem. I mean, I remember doing a show in, I'm not going to name the country because I don't want to get in trouble, but let's just say it's not going well there right now. And, you know, so are some people in the crowd that, you know, and my prejudice.
America. Is it America?
It was the United States of America. Exactly. It was the United States of America. That's exactly. Oh, hold on a second. Is this a special guest joining us right now as we speak? I don't know if he's on here right now, but anyway, I felt like the thing is that, like, my prejudices kind of came out because I was getting nervous based on, like, you know, my perceptions, my point of view of what I'd heard and stuff like that. And honestly, they were the nicest people. I had no issues. They were like, you know, they wanted to give me drinks afterwards. They wanted to know more about the United States. And it was just such a cool experience. And this was when I was a younger performer. And I just happened to be in this country and got an opportunity to perform. And it just kind of changed my perspective. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Like I didn't realize how much prejudice I had, until I put myself in that type of a scenario. And it was really eye-opening. So, I think
that's almost always the case. People who kind of get shit on that are, you know, oh, they're scary, they're bad or whatever. If you go there and you do, like, give them the gift of whatever your performance or your gift is, they're appreciative, because I feel like when you're seen as bad, you just want someone to give you the benefit of the doubt and give you a chance to enjoy your life, you know? So I think that's beautiful.
Now, speaking of enjoying life, Ryan, did you say you wanted to take the bullet of this 3-person show or 4-person show?
Yeah, sure. I'll do whatever is needed. You know, I'm happy to.
Aisha just wants a break from her kids for an hour, so she's like, I'll go later. I can stick around for a while. So, After, by the way, guys, in between the sets, we will be breaking down the sets and chat a little bit more. If you want to follow us and find out more about the lineups that are coming every week, go to @Comedy in English on all social medias. You can keep donating by going to those links that are in the chat or on the Twitch stream right now. With that being said, your first comic coming to the stage, guys. You've seen him on The Late Show with James Corden. He travels all over the place. He was recently in, I believe, Edmonton, Alberta. Let's give it up for the one and only Ryan Conner, everybody!
I was indeed recently in Edmonton. I don't know if that would really get audiences excited. You may have seen this guy in Edmonton. You haven't. Okay, I'm 44. I recently mentioned that on stage, and after the show, someone came up to me and told me, he's like, "Oh, you're 44. You look pretty good for your age." I was like, "Oh, go fuck yourself. That's not a real compliment." Why the qualifier? That's like saying, "Hey, you're pretty smart for an idiot." It's not a real compliment. Also, I'm 44, not 94. Like, what does he think I'm gonna say? Like these ain't my real hips. Like, what do you think 44 is? Like, at this age, most of the changes are digestive. That's really what it's. If you're watching this, if you're under 40, just know you will wake up one day, probably around 41 or 42, and fiber intake will be very important suddenly. It's shocking. You don't expect it, but you will wake up one day and immediate happiness will be less important than future stool consistency. It's absolutely devastating. My girlfriend recently asked me if I wanted to get ice cream, and I went, "I don't know. I've already had dairy once this week." It's just sad. It's sad. If you told me 5 years ago someone said that, I would be like, "Then kill them because they're not living." And now it's just, yeah, that's just how I'm living. And I'm not one of those anti-dairy people. That exists. I don't know if it exists everywhere, but in LA, about half the people are like, "We're not supposed to have dairy because no other animal has it after infancy." It's like, yeah, that's because no other animals figured out how to milk cows. Like you think if snakes could make rocky road, they'd still be eating rats? Are you kidding me? Here's the real issues, Mike. I'm starting to get weird. I'm getting medical stuff now, finally. So about 6 months ago, I got diagnosed with glaucoma, which is fine. Just you do medication, you don't go blind. A few months ago, skin cancer, the softest cancer of all. It's healing though. I don't know if you can say it's covered right now, but I'm a little bummed about the skin cancer. It's a soft cancer. They should have a different word for it because it just feels like stolen valor if I tell someone I had cancer. And I could just see myself in some setting where someone's like, "Hey, has anyone here had cancer?" And I don't raise my hand because it's not a serious one. And then no one else raises their hand. And then they're like, "No one here's had cancer." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I guess I did." Mm-hmm. And they're like, "What kind?" And I go, "Skin." And they go, "Shut the fuck up." All right. It's like minimum rectal if you want to speak up. So I've been diagnosed with, my ophthalmologist diagnosed me with glaucoma. Then my dermatologist diagnosed me with skin cancer. And then I was just a few weeks ago diagnosed with Tourette's by YouTube comments. Fun. It's a high concentration of doctors in those comment sections, The thing was, there was a video from my special where apparently I was blinking a lot. Because the air was dry. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo of my voice right now. This is crazy. Are you guys getting an echo too?
Yeah. I'm getting the echo.
Well, interesting.
Does somebody have the stream on?
I don't know. You might just have to start muting folks.
Hold on, let's see what happens.
I don't know.
Start muting.
Blah blah.
Let me mute myself and see.
Hello.
Is that? Oh, there it is.
I think it was Pratik. Okay, I'm just saying that.
Oh, it was Pratik. Oh, sorry, Pratik. Where was I? I was talking about Sorry, that really threw me off a little bit. But I guess it threw us all off. It was a little odd. Sorry for T. I don't know. Basically, the YouTube commenter said I have Tourette's because I was blinking. The first person was like, man, this guy blinks harder than anything I've ever seen. The next one writes, I think it's a form of Tourette's. Fucking tons of likes. It just so now I have Tourette's. I wish none of us had, like when we started comedy, there was none of this, social media and all this crap. You just perform stand up and you went to the next venue. That's the way I like it. I wish there was no social media at all. I hate it. It's just a place where people spread negativity and like tribalism. Like any given day, you can hear people say, "Oh, everyone's freaking out about that thing on social media. They're freaking out." And I don't even think it's real. It's hardly ever real because you're like, who's freaking out? What are their names? And then you send links to them, and the handles are like outraged Iowa dentist, or Patriot Tom, or here for justice. It's like, oh yeah, those sound like real people. Let me guess. All their profile photos are either a American flag or a fist. How did I know? How did I know? My proposal, I don't think we get rid of social media. I just think that anything that has social media should have to weigh at least 15 pounds. I think that's fair. That way you can't carry it with you. If you want to go online and spread some craziness, you have to really want it. You have to want to be furious. All right. 15 pounds minimum. And I don't know. I think phones, it's an amazing, I don't know. They're amazing pieces of technology, but I think we got to get rid of the social media. And then the other thing is, like, I use Siri for texting, and sometimes it's great, but then sometimes it's like the dumbest thing. Like I'll text, I'll be like, Siri, text Steve, did you see the new, now my fucking computer is doing it right now. It's sending that text. All right, I have to not, it's doing the thing. Okay. It's doing the thing I was about to say. Okay, I won't say the name, but I'll say blank. Text Steve, did you see the new South Park? And instead of texting the person named Steve that I've been texting with nonstop for the next 45 minutes, it'll send it to some guy named Steve I talked to for 30 seconds 10 years ago. And the only reason I have his number is because he was standing next to me and going, here, put my name in the phone. What in the world? Somehow Siri answered the phone. I was talking to an AT&T representative that whole time. Okay. Jesus Christ. I don't even remember what the joke. Oh, so now I'm texting Steve. So now I'm texting to Steve. He's like, I'm not sure if this was meant for me. And then I'm offended that he thinks that I'm not down for fellowship, that I wouldn't be a good friend. So then I'm like, no, this was meant for you. I'm trying to reach back out to you because we lost touch. Now I'm watching South Park with this dude Steve on Wednesday. That's tonight, so that's fun. Okay, I've lived in LA for like 13 years now. I used to live in New York, and I have a couple friends there who still can't accept that I'm happy living in LA. And I'll explain, like, this wasn't a good fit for me. And my friend was like, well, it's a direct quote. You have to admit New York would be great if you're rich. I'm like, yeah, everywhere is great if you're rich. What are you talking about? Like Baghdad would be great if you were rich. What? Like, there's no place in the world that's terrible for rich people. Like even in Baghdad, you'd have a walled-in compound with a yard full of tigers and your own militia. Like it's great to be rich. Like Warren Buffett, one of the richest people in the world, he lives in Omaha. If you've never been to Omaha, it smells like a pet cemetery in this place. But he's so rich, the bad smells leave him alone. And it's like, what happens if you're rich in New York? Ooh, a washer dryer in unit. Nice. Hobos in Muncie have a washer dryer in unit. All right. Like, also to say, oh, it's great if you're rich. It doesn't make sense because I'm not rich. It's like saying, hey, Jacksonville is great if you can make it not Jacksonville. It's like this. This doesn't apply. And then my friend, I mentioned the quality of life is better here, and he was like, okay, I'll admit the quality of life is a lot better there. It's like, yeah, so what do you want? Quantity of life? Is that a good thing? You just up to your ears in misery? But and to be fair, I was so broke in New York. It was impossible to enjoy it. Here's how I knew how poor I was. One of my friends got bed bugs in his place. Not only did he move, he abandoned all of the possessions he'd accumulated over his entire life over bugs. I realized at that moment my place could have been infested with lions, and I would have been like, we're gonna figure it out. All right. Like, all right, lions, I'm gonna do my thing, you do yours. I labeled all my gazelles, though. All right, I need you to respect that. Is that the time, or what am I doing?
No, you can still keep going, dude.
Just keep going. All
Sure,
right, shit.
why not?
That was the new stuff I lined up.
2 hours.
You said you got
Okay.
2 hours, and you just kind of figure it out from the 2 hours.
Let's do this. Let's do this then. So I get a lot of my news from from BBC World Service because Sirius won't let me cancel my subscription. So I don't know if this happens to everyone, but like it came with my car, and then I canceled it after a year, and then they just go, well, what if it's free for a year? And I'm like, okay, fine. I don't understand your business model, but let's do it. So we've been doing this dance for 5 years, and I've not paid for anything. So I every time I get my car, it plays BBC for like 30 seconds, just and then I live my own life. But I heard this story recently. They were like, we have someone live in Ukraine, in Lviv. And they cut to this reporter, and he's like, we're here on the ground in Lviv, where the local arts district was recently bombed out by Russian forces. One of the casualties in this bombing campaign was a local improv theater. And I'm like, well, that's a weird thing to mention. Why would you bring up the improv theater? And the guy goes, so what's been happening as these families have been huddled down in the subway bunkers, this improv troupe has been down there performing 2 to 3 shows a day. I'm like, haven't the people of Ukraine suffered enough? Like, really? They're hiding from a Russian bombing campaign, and you're going to force short form improv on them? They're just trying to live, and you're zip zap zopping in their faces. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen bad improv, but like all the militaries in the world combined cannot bomb as hard as improv can. These poor people are just down there trying to protect their families, and they have to listen to, okay, can I have a suggestion? They're like, yeah, how about if you go fuck yourself? I heard pajama party. Let's do a pajama party. I'll do one more. You may do one more?
Sure.
So let's see if I can remember how this was. So this was 15 years ago, something like that, maybe even more. I did a benefit. It was an AIDS benefit in DC. And so, okay, it's at this giant theater, right? And my friends and I, who were all got booked on the show, were very excited to do this. Not just, on one hand, it's like, oh, it's a benefit, it's helping people. But at the same time, we're selfish comics who are like, oh, a packed theater, which is probably whatever. We'll move on. So anyway, we get to the theater, and it's like 20 minutes before it's supposed to start, and there were only 3 people in the theater. It's a 1,500 seater, and these 3 people aren't even seated together. And we're like, oh, these must be, employees on break. So I go up to the booker, and I was like, hey, so the door's not open yet? And he was like, oh, no, the doors are open. And I was like, these are the only people? And he goes, so far. And I was like, did you do marketing? And he goes, honestly, I kind of thought AIDS sold itself. I'm like, well, don't say that sentence. Doesn't sound good. So we're all waiting backstage. It's just people performing to silence. And just to give you an idea of what 3 people in 15,000 seats, it's kind of like this show we're currently doing, where we're about 3 people out of the entire internet, actually. If you're performing in a club and there's just like a couple fingers on a table and you're trying to make them laugh. So this show was going, it is devastating. And he's not giving us the lineup in advance. He's just telling people when they're next. I go up to him, I was like, hey man, just wondering, when am I up? And he goes, I've got you closing the show. And I'm like, oh my God. There's music acts, half music, half comedy. I'm like, why are you ending on comedy? And he's like, we need to go out on laughs. I'm like, I'm not going to get laughs. There are 3 people here. So he comes up to me. He's like, we got one more music act than you. I stand in the wings. This rap group goes on. They start doing a song that I know. It was, I don't know if anyone here remembers the Franchise Boys, the song White Tea. It was a hit at the time, like a top 10 radio hit. They were performing on this show for 3 people. And then I was supposed to go after them. So I went up to the booker. I was like, hey, dude, because I had this realization. I was like, wait a minute. This show is going to lose money for AIDS. Like, this is going to be the first show in history where afterwards the disease is going to owe money. Like, and I was like, I can't be a part of this, because I know if we lose money for AIDS, this is going to be in the newspaper, and it's going to have 3 pieces of information. It's going to have lost money for AIDS, the Franchise Boys, and unknown comedian Ryan Conner setback fight against AIDS. So I left. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.
Ryan Conner, everybody, one more time for the one and only Ryan Conner. My gosh, so much too on.
What did I say to the AT&T rep during? I wonder which parts of the thing they heard.
Count them as an audience member.
Absolutely. By the way, guys, if you're watching this on the Twitch stream right there, I know a lot of you guys are watching on the Twitch stream because I see the comments over there. You can watch in the private Zoom room as well, guys. It's not just for Ryan and Aisha and Pratik and Jinda, who somehow found the link, which is shout out to Jinda, #1 KO comedy fan, for finding the link to the Zoom room right here, which may or may not have ever been posted, which is kind of frightening to find that out. But yeah, guys, if you want to join the Zoom room right there, guys, go to Eventbrite. You can get the RSVP, or you can reach out to KO Comedy. I'm sure they're happy to give you the Zoom link as well too. Every week, KO Comedy sends out a newsletter to everyone who's subscribed on KO Comedy, and has the Zoom links to all the different shows that are live events on KO Comedy. So you can get that link right there. Or if you enjoy watching on the stream, we enjoy having you as well too. No pressure, but you know, we are available in the Zoom room right here. Speaking of that, somebody who knows a lot about Zoom rooms, the one and only Pratik Srivastava is joining us, guys. What's up, dude?
Everybody. Hey, hopefully is the echo gone now? Do we solve that? Good.
Yes.
We might have been a fan, or maybe I haven't used Zoom in a while, so I might have pushed something by accident. So I apologize, Ryan, for interrupting.
No, it's all good, man.
Good to see you, Ryan and Aisha. I haven't seen you guys
too.
Years, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. Years has it been?
It's probably been 2 years since I've seen you.
Yeah, Ryan, I know we did that show at Oino Vino that you had.
Yeah. I think that's the last time I saw you, and then
which is where the Beastie Boys recorded. Like, whoa, that's
that's wild.
Wait, the Beastie Boys recorded at Oino Vino?
Yeah,
there used to be a studio.
What?
Yeah, they did. Was it Paul's Boutique there? No, they did. License to Ill.
After Paul, License to Ill came after Paul. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
It was in the Apple TV documentary. Like, I know that venue. I told terrible jokes there. Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, well, Pratik, you know, earlier on, you know, Ryan and Aisha, we were here before, and you know, Ryan, we'll if you want to, we can break down some of the stuff you talked about as well too. But since Pratik is here and he didn't get a chance to, we were talking about kind of like some of our favorite HI moments that we've had in the past doing those shows, or just international comedy in general. Any thoughts just kind of on because I know you tour a lot and you've done a lot of international shows, especially this past year. You've been traveling quite a bit internationally. What are some benefits you've seen about doing comedy to internationals before you go overseas, and then doing those shows, in an environment where there's multiple people from different countries?
I mean, I think HI was definitely a good training ground in that you're basically like, it's like little Europe when you come to. I mean, a hostel is mostly just European tourists for the most part. People who have money. A lot of nepo babies at the hostel shows, which is fine. We'll take their money. It's good. It was just interesting because it's like, especially in LA, like to get like a 15-minute set on a Tuesday night, it was so difficult. So I feel like, it was good to have that show. I think we were able to give comics a little more time to work stuff out in front of a crowd that isn't the typical Los Angeles crowd. So I'm very, happy with the Comedy in English show that we kind of helped. I was happy to be a small part of running that show. So it definitely helped me performing overseas. I mean, I think the biggest difference with European crowds is I think they're a little more patient than American crowds. I think they let jokes breathe. They understand the craft of comedy a little bit better. I think American crowds, I think attention spans are, as all comics we've noticed with Instagram Reels, attention spans are weaning off. Like everybody wants like, hey, quick. So I think it is one thing I noticed when I was performing overseas is like, oh, I can slow down a little bit. I don't have to, get everything out in 5 minutes, the tight 5 that we're used to in the US. You can let jokes breathe a little bit. You can take your time. If you need to check in with the crowd, it's fine. But they also are there for the craft. They understand that it's a performance. One thing I don't know, I'm sure you guys have performed overseas as well, but like they sometimes on certain shows, they'll do intermissions. They will like take a break from the show, and that's when they'll do like their drink. They'll sell drinks and they'll do like wait staff and service stuff because they don't want to be running around during the middle of the show like we see in comedy clubs in America where check drops will happen during the headline.
I mean, that's a really good point, Pratik, in regards to that. It's funny that you brought up intermissions because we were talking about intermissions earlier, but because Ryan Conner's got 2-hour sets that he brings on stage with him. You gotta have those intermissions. Got to
break up those aid jokes.
pre-order those snacks. But it's funny what you said in regards to like letting it breathe, and Aisha, I think one of the things in regards to like performing internationally is like, they see stand-up comedy, and maybe it's changed a little bit in regards to just because of the blow up of social media, but they see it more as like a one-person show. Like when you go overseas, like
in Europe, you mean?
Yeah. Like when you're doing Edinburgh, for instance, like they're like, what's the title of your show? It's like the title of my show is Michael Magic. So it's like you have to have a concept. You have to have a full like a beginning, middle, and end, a whole through line type of a thing. Yeah. Like you're putting together a comedy special, really.
Yeah.
But I kind of love it because it's such a different system than we have here, where it's like, okay, here you're doing like short sets, right? So there's not really an opportunity to like string all that stuff together. And then a lot of clubs you're expected to do an hour, and you're like, well, the first night at the club, I'm going to be figuring out what the puzzle pieces are that go together best if it's like newer stuff I'm doing. Whereas if like in Europe, they're like, come and like try out longer stuff and like spread it out, and then you've got your hour, and then you tour that hour for like 2 years and perfect it. Right. And then you have all these fans, and you're not famous, but you have all these fans who support you and like your concept and like what you're doing and what you're saying. And then when you come out with your next hour the next year and you decide to tour that, people come to your shows. And like, it's just, I think that's such a nice system for actually creativity and the art and the craft and like making something. I just made a short film. And it kind of feels like that, where like you spend all this time with the concept, you get it right, you finally make the thing, and then you put it through festivals for a year. Like that's how it feels like comedy is received in Europe versus here, where it's like, you got 2 minutes, show us what you got, baby, and then like, then what? Like then you graduate. When I started in Winnipeg, we had local openers doing 5-minute sets, a local host, doing 10 to 15 that was mostly about giving out the prizes and letting people know where the bathroom was. And then somebody who had been brought in to do an hour. Like, where is the feeder system to get to that space? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of, that doesn't exist in the same way here. Whereas I love that about Europe, where you have this space and time to breathe in it and to have a voice and to say something. And like you said, Pratik, like, you don't have to be social media. It's like, I can be telling a story. I can be acting something out. Like, I can have a video. Like, it's just like anything kind of goes. They just want to be entertained, which is really beautiful.
You know, I love what you just said right there. You know, Ryan, I was just thinking about just the fact of like, look, and I'm not trying to like, you know, like be like derogatory towards the United States or American audiences or anything like that. As a shout out to Ryan Conner, who, even though he's in a virtual space, is still covering his mouth as he sneezes. Giving him the one socially conscious human being. I was literally at the gym the other day, and this guy's just like going like, like right by me, and I'm like, no. And by the way, this is the guy that asked me, "Do you mind if I close the window?" He's like, "Do you mind if I close the window?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure, that's fine." He's like,
contain that bacteria.
I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
I'm just doing it for my plants. I got plants right here. I don't want to, you know.
Get sick.
But I think you know what Aisha's saying and what Pratik is saying is that, because I think that European audiences, and you know, shout out to you guys who are watching in Europe and everything, is that there's just a respect towards the craft of theater and performance there that is held at a higher level, honestly, than the United States, where it's kind of like, you know, I especially know here in Los Angeles, it's like, you know, you're like, oh, you're doing a play. It's almost like they make it sound like it's an open mic. They're like, oh, you're doing a play. Like, what is that? What is that? But you play, are you trying to do that so that you can work something out, so that you can get something that actually is worth of some sort of value? Yeah, I mean, they even call the shows in work in progresses in Europe, you know, so that you know you're workshopping things. You know, so
it's true.
I mean, I think, you know, kind of, Ryan, by the way, just kind of get back to you in regards to the three people in the crowd. I think we've all been in that situation touring, where we've expected a certain turnout based on the number of seats that are available in a venue. And for whatever reason, something happens. I had a show that was completely sold out, but a thunderstorm broke out in Virginia Beach. And so nobody came. And I'm like, we have a sold out. And I was literally saying, like, on shit, I'm like, guys, this show is sold out. There's like 10 people there. And they're just like, they're like, oh, this guy's so delusional. I'm like, no, you don't understand. People just couldn't get here. They literally couldn't get here to the venue. So, and you just have to pivot. And you have to pivot, and you have to be willing to accept it, you know?
Did you ever see, there was an NBA game maybe 15 years ago that was legendary. I was watching it live. It was the Charlotte Hornets. Maybe they were the Bobcats at the time. I can't remember they were playing, but an ice storm hit Charlotte, and people do not know what to do with ice down there. And, you know, they have like an 20,000 seat arena, and there were like 75 people at this NBA game. And people from the stands during timeouts were talking to the players. They could just hear each other. And at one point during the third quarter, you hear a guy on the broadcast talk to one of the players. He's like, I'm going to head home now before the roads get worse.
I really hope at very least all those like people who came to watch moved down to the good days. Like, no one stayed up.
They did. That's so funny.
But that's funny that you said that, Aisha, because I believe, like, in Europe, people are so polite. They're like, no, I purchased the nosebleed seats. I'm going to stay here.
I did this to myself. I'm staying up here.
I would do that too, honestly.
Like,
my girlfriend and I just went to a play, and she wanted to move up. Like, it was like 2 rows. Just, I can't remember. It was something like seeing over someone. And I was like, we're going to get kicked out.
Ryan Conner, the socially conscious, just so respectful.
Can I tell you what happened during my set? When I said the SIRI thing, I'm scared of even saying the name now. I look down, and it is texting my set to this guy, Steve, who I have not talked to in 15 years.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
And then I cancel that. Somehow in the process of cancel, I guess I answered a call. Didn't even know I had a call. Then I looked down a minute later because I'm like recording the set so I can remember the jokes. And I looked down and I am connected with an AT&T representative. And I had been talking to this person for 2 minutes and she texted me. It was like, I guess it wasn't a good time to talk, but when can we chat?
I think my favorite thing about that is that, like, you know, you have just literally, not only have you made this show go viral, you've literally made the show go super viral because it's now in the AT&T system being shot out by the AT&T AI web to everyone.
Forever put in the AT&T like the records.
Unbelievable.
And they review those calls, so somebody's gonna review it.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, again, like I said, guys, if you want to join us in the Zoom room, we're hanging out here in the Zoom room every week. You can join us in the Zoom room. The link is on Eventbrite, or keep watching on Twitch. We appreciate that. But just keep sending the link to your friends or follow at Comedy in English so you find out more information on all the different amazing lineups. With that being said, guys, you're ready for your next comic. This comedian is absolutely incredible. She is one of my favorites out there. She just got back from the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. Let's give it up for the one and only Aisha Alfa, everybody!
Woo, woo, woo! Me. That's what I assume everyone, but they're saying Aisha. But if I'm going to join in on the chant, I have to say me. Otherwise, it's like a god complex, right? Hi, this is great. I'm so happy to be here. This really does remind me of being back in the pandemic because I was 100% pregnant and on bed rest and doing comedy from my bed. And it was before we figured it all out, where we had people like have their video on and their audio on, and you just felt like you were a crazy person going through a mental break, like screaming things into an empty hallway. And I was the only one who was happy about this setup. Like, I was like, pandemic was good for me. I had a great time. This is great. I'm excited. I love Michael Majid, who's one of my favorite people in LA. I think we just need to take a moment for some shout outs to Michael. And this isn't even jokes. I just feel like I need to take a moment. This is like an acceptance speech where I just need to take a moment to like give you your flowers, because when I first moved to LA, before I even lived here fully, I met Michael and I was like, hey, new to town, do you have any great shows that you love that you could maybe like let me know and I'll reach out? And he sent me a spreadsheet with every show he had done in the past year with all of the bookers' names. And I was so appreciative. And then a few months later, I lost it and I messaged him again and he resent it. So just giving it up for Michael, who also had one of the best sets I've ever seen, where he'd had a great comedy set. And then he did an impromptu, unexpected, mostly unexpected to him, comedic, artistic performance where he got tangled in the mic cord so badly. I kid you not, it took longer than his set. It took him to untangle himself. It had somehow gotten tangled in his backpack that was on the whole time. Like, it was like close-up magic and comedy and art all mixed together in one of the most beautiful displays I've ever seen. And I was convinced that this was part of his set until after he said, I just got tangled up. I don't know. So just big shout outs to you, Double M. Yes. So I didn't always live here. I live here now, and for now, I guess. But I am a citizen. Thank you. Which is very hard to do. Thank you. And it is, people are always like shitting on immigrants. And I'm like, it is really hard to become a citizen of this country. And, and I did it through entertainment, where I had to get a green card. And I don't know if anyone's done this before, but you have to prove that you are an alien of extraordinary ability. That is the actual technical term that you have to prove to the immigration people here. And I remember being like, well, what are the criteria? Like, what do I have to do? And they give you kind of 9 criteria. And then they're like, just sort of prove it. Like, show that and let us know. And I'm like, there's a phone number that you can call if you need help when you're doing your green card. And then when you call it, they tell you they're not allowed to give you advice. Like you just call it and you're like, hey, so I was having trouble figuring out this form and like what it means to prove that I increased income for whatever. And they're like, yeah, confusing, huh? And I was like, yeah. So hoping like this was the helpline. So hoping you could help me. They're like, yeah, actually, we're not allowed to legally give any advice. We just have to be here to like answer the call. So it feels like I'm being gentle parented at all times. Like I call, where they're like, we're not going to help you. Like, we're not going to push you forward in any direction. We just want to let you know that you're here and we're here and we see you. You're seen. Okay. So I got my green card eventually. And then I applied to become a citizen. But in the meantime, after I got my green card, I moved to the States. I met my now husband. We got married. And, you know, after you have your green card, after 5 years, you can apply for your citizenship. And I got married and my friends were like, oh my gosh, you don't have to wait. You can just apply for citizenship through your marriage. And call me an independent woman, call me a feminist, call me an idiot, whatever. But like, I refused to do it through marriage, even though I could get it for cheaper and instantly, because I was like, no man is going to be the person who either keeps me here or kicks me out. I'm my own woman. I spent $10,000 to get me a green card, and I'm going to work that fucking years, and I'm going to get it by myself. So I spent a lot of money and a lot of time, and now this green card is mine. Now this citizenship, I applied on my own merit, okay? Because no man's gonna hold me down. Yes, he pays for all the bills and everything, and all of our utilities are in his name, but that's not the point, okay? But getting your citizenship is very hard. It's very difficult. It's very expensive. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. And when I finally was applying for mine, what you have to do is you have to fill in all this paperwork, pay money, and then you get a date to show up to have an interview where they're going to test your knowledge of American and political history, where they're going to make sure that you speak English and that you have money, that you can support yourself, that you are a person of upstanding character. And one of the things they ask is like, are you now or have you ever been a drunkard? Which I think is perhaps a relic from like when America started. I don't know. But like, I've never heard anyone asking if I'm a drunkard. And let me tell you, I had a real hard time, especially as a comedian, because being a drunkard kind of sounds classy to me. I'm like, oh, I'm a drunkard. Ooh, like I'm not a drunk. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a drunkard. Like I feel like I should have like a long, skinny cigarette. You know what I mean? Like I'm a classy drinker. Yes, it's 11:30 in the morning, but I'm good. It's fine. And so I had to lie and say I wasn't. And then, of course, I was like, I'm going into this. I've studied my American history. I've studied everything. I have learned everything I need to learn. And I'm so nervous, right? I know I should be here. I deserve to be here. I am an alien of extraordinary talent because no one tells a dick joke like I do. Okay. But I expected this test to become a citizen of this great nation. I expected it to be very official. Like I expected there to be significant people there in a boardroom. Like I wanted it to be like the president has to be there. Maybe not this president, but like one president from some time. I wanted it to be Bill Clinton, but I wanted a president in room. I thought like it was going to be like Yosemite Sam was going to be there, like kicking it up, and maybe like the indigenous person from the old commercials with like a single tear, like just warning me, don't come. I wanted all those people to be in a room, like a boardroom, and I would walk in and there'd be fanfare, and then I would sit down and they would ask, and then there would be celebration with confetti. My test to become a citizen, my number was called. I'm in my best outfit. I've got my little pamphlet. I'm ready to go. And it was just some really tired middle-aged dude who like hated his job, who brought me back from the waiting room. I'm like, oh, he must be the one who hates his job. He just walks me to the boardroom and then leaves me with the good people. Nope. I just go into his little cubicle-y office. Okay. And I'm talking like a person, like way too personal in the office. I knew that he had a child who played soccer and he had like a #1 dad mug. And I was like, that's a lie. Like it was just not, it was too much. And and this is the person who's going to decide if I get to stay in the country my kids are in, or if I have to be like forcibly removed to Canada or to Nigeria where I was born. I'm like, I need to pass this test. So the first thing they do is they start going in, asking me questions, and I'm sweating and I'm answering these questions. I'm killing it. I'm doing really good. And this guy is like lording over his power, just like slowly looking through all of my documents, like, okay, not a drunkard. I'm like, shh, you know, and he keeps turning through my little 3-ring binder, sees all of my green card material. And then at one point he stopped because his phone rang and his wife was calling, and he said, "Do you mind if I take this?" And I was like, I guess not. You make all the rules, dude. Like, so he left the room, took a phone call, and came back. He goes, "Oh, sorry, my wife got in an accident. I really had to make sure she was okay." And I was like, "Okay." So he keeps going. Then he goes back trying to have like a sense of authority. And I was like, "No, I know too much about you to like have any respect." Goes through. And eventually he gets to the part where he realizes I'm a comedian. And this is, as we all know as comedians, you never want a layman when you're not doing a show to ever find out that you're a comedian, right? And he goes, oh, you're a comedian, huh? And I was like, well, I can't do what I do in every Uber and lie and say I'm accountant because I'm trying to, you know, I'm like, he's got the evidence. I'm like, yeah, I'm a comedian. He goes, okay. So, you know, Larry David? And I was like personally, like, do I need to say yes to get into the country? Because I will. And I was like, well, I don't know personally. And he goes, but you know of Larry David. And I was like, yeah. He goes, so you know Curb Your Enthusiasm? And I was like, he said it like he was like offering a deep cut. Like I was like, yeah, that's what he's known for. Like, even if you didn't know he was involved in Seinfeld, Curb, you know he's with it, right? So I was like, yeah, oh my God, you know about Curb too? Like, I feel like I was on the worst possible date of my life where I was like trying to like fluff up some dude's ego because I needed what he had, which was citizenship. So this guy then proceeds to be like, oh my God, so you do know it. Yeah, it's a great show. Oh my God, you've seen the one where, and then he reenacted an entire episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
What?
Like I'm talking beginning, middle, end. I'm talking commercial breaks. This dude, the full episode, while I just sat in his tiny little office, and I'm going like, I need him to give me that stamp, right? So I'm just like, like I've never laughed so hard in my life at someone who I thought was unfunny. And so at the end, he's like, great episode, right? I was like, oh man, it's my favorite episode. I'm like pushing the papers, trying to get him to stamp, like, and then he goes, yeah. If you like that one, you're gonna love this one. And then proceeded to reenact the second episode. The whole episode. I'm telling you guys, it was like, honestly, we talk about veterans. Before I was even officially a citizen, I paid my dues to this country by letting this guy reenact 2 episodes. Okay, fully did it. He stamped my paper. Bing, bang, boom. I'm a citizen now. Okay, so I feel very proud of myself. I did give him a blowjob just to speed things up, you know. But fantastic. I'm here. You can't get rid of me now. And that's wonderful. And then I got married. I quickly became pregnant and then had 2 kids over the course of just under like 2.5 years. So my life was real whirlwind. I went from being a single lady to being married, having kids, moving to a different country, changing my citizenship, all within like a couple of years, and it was wild. And now I have 2 kids. Which is obviously, say it with me, too many. So I didn't know I wanted to have kids. I didn't know I wanted to have kids right up until they came out of my body. And it's a lot, you know, as an independent woman who has a lot of goals in life. Kids change those goals, ruin those goals, and it's fine. I'm happy. I'm happy with them now, but I just didn't grow up being like, I want to do this. Like, I want to be a mom. And I know a lot of people did. And I know it's hard to have kids for some women. And so I never want to take that away. And also my kids came quickly and like too easily. And it just like, it shook my whole world where like I would go and see people and they're like, oh my God, you had a kid. You're a mom. You're a mom. And like their heads would explode and just like Bed Bath and Beyond coupons would start shooting out. But like, I didn't have that. Like I was fucking, you know what I mean? I was fucking. And then one day creation happened. Like I didn't know that. I wasn't becoming a mom. I was just like, oops. And then oops, I did it again. And it was really interesting where I sort of have like not mom energy. I have like, hey, mother, kind of like that's what I'm rocking. And I didn't want to go to these mommy and me classes because I just felt like I didn't have anything in common with the moms there, like the Disney moms. But eventually it is a really tough time in life and no one else can really relate other than moms. So I ended up going to a mom and me class. Write it up for you. My mom and me class. And it was in Studio City where I live, where it's mostly under melanated ladies, let's just say. A lot of Karen spelled with a Q with an apostrophe, which is great. You know, I mean, like, well, all power to everybody. But I showed up and they were like, oh my God, like they were like, you know when people are like too excited, like it's like the racism, but like full circle now. Like before they didn't want you, then they're like, okay, they're okay. And now they really want you like too much. Like they're like, oh my God. Okay. I'm like, that's not my culture. Like, I don't even know what world we're talking about right now. And they brought me in and they're like, we're so excited to have you here. Oh my God, like kicking people out of their seats. Like, let her sit here. Okay, Shaniqua. I'm like, I've told you my name's Aisha 7 times. But I sat there and then they went over the rules. They're like, oh my God, this is a safe space. Okay, a very safe space. We just want you to know we're real safe here. And in this space, we don't use the N-word. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, none of us, we don't use it. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, oh, sorry, we don't use the N-word around the kids. Yeah, with the kids, we don't use the N-word. And I was like, okay, that's worse, right? Like if you can use it, then use it, right? Like, but it was just this awkward moment where I'm like, what? Like I'm trying to like slowly back out. And then she realized what she had said to a Black woman. And she goes, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you misunderstand. In this space, we don't use the N-word. No, we don't use the word. And let me tell you, I was so much more offended. You know what I mean? I was like, you don't tell these little niggas no? What? Like, you should. You have a white son named Hunter. Like statistically speaking, he needs to hear the word no more often. So I did get kicked out. But you know what? Hey, my kids are still alive. I'm still a mom. So I think I'm doing it okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me some time. Appreciate you all.
Aisha Alfa, everybody. One more time for Aisha Alfa. Oh
Thank
my God.
you.
She uses the word no consistently, which you have to do. You have to do that out there. By the way, shout out to all the 8-year-olds on Twitch who are finding this stream and have decided it is their personal.
With the 8-year-olds, baby.
Killing it with the 8-year-old community. Just a bunch of Owen Coopers from adolescence watching our comedy show. Leading the next generation. I love the fact, Aisha, when you said they're like alien of extraordinary ability. Because it literally makes it sound like you have to be Captain Marvel in order to be able to like stay in the United States.
That's the actual terminology, and that's what you have to like prove that you are in order to like get a green card, which is silly. Like it's so ridiculous because there's nobody who can do something that nobody else can do other than like maybe, I don't know, some specific brain surgeon. And like, I'm certainly not doing that, you know?
I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. Also, by the way, I will admit this to everybody in this room right here. When I just started talking about the thing about the guy reenacting Curb Your Enthusiasm, I realized that last night I was talking to somebody.
You were that guy.
They mentioned they'd never seen Succession. And I was like, you remind me a lot of like Matthew McFadden, like who plays Tom from Succession. He's like, I've never seen Succession. I'm like, you never seen Succession, dude? There's this episode where Tom, and I was like, I started doing a 1-person show of Succession.
And take it on the road to Europe. It'll be great.
At least you've seen Curb Your Enthusiasm. Because I can't even imagine how bad it must be to somebody who has no context of what you're
and
doing.
Of all the shows, like at least Curb is just like jokes, whatever character actors. Succession Succession is like very
I'm
dramatic,
like going into,
very
I'm like, and then
specific.
Shiv goes, blah, blah, blah. And then I just realized, I'm like, also, like, to him, it just sounds like I'm talking about like people I know. Cause like he has
Yeah,
no
yeah.
context because he's never seen the show before. So he has no backstory. It just sounds like I'm talking about these people I know at work. Like he's like, oh, and
I
then
know.
Shiv, you know how Shiv is, how that's just such a Shiv face for her to make. Like I'm not kidding. This is why we do these online shows,
hilarious.
because that will become a bit one day. That is actually
Yeah.
pretty funny right there. I wish that getting tangled in that thing was a bit. That absolutely happened.
I wish like it was one of the most magical things I've ever seen in my life. I know you think I'm being facetious. It was like so weird. And you know, you're like in something and you're like, what's happening right now? And it just kept going to the point where I was like, this is the most brilliant piece of art that is also funny. And like, you're like such an anomaly where like you're so funny sometimes without even knowing you're being funny. It's one of the most endearing qualities that you have. Like you're very funny as a comedian, but like sometimes you say and do things where I'm just like, he has no clue what he's doing this right now. Like it's so funny to me. So good.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Well, guys, we just have one more comedian left to go, and shout out to all you guys who've been watching on the Twitch stream, guys. Keep telling your friends. Every Wednesday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. in the south of France, because their time zone is slightly different. Yeah. Well, I know that because my cousin just moved to the south of France. So shout out to Eduardo, who's there now. I said that properly. I have to say it with the Castilian because he's now in Europe. So Eduardo. I don't even know if I did that right. Guys, one more comic to go. You guys ready for your final comedian? You guys know him. You love him. Before we get to that, our final comedian, guys, Ryan, Aisha, anything you guys want to plug in case people, we don't get a chance later on?
Yeah, anyone who's in Los Angeles this Saturday, I'm gonna a really fun big show called Spicy Moms. Ooh la la. Spicy Moms at the Improv. And it's an early show. It's a 4 p.m. show. So if you got shit to do, moms, get in and get out. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a great show. It's a really fun lineup. And it's raising money for maternal health as well. So if you're around, come on out. There's going to be a step and repeat red carpet too. So come show up and show out.
Wow. Spicy 4 p.m. show. Right there. Oh my
jam. That's my sweet spot right there.
There needs to be more 4 p.m. shows. I'm not gonna lie. There definitely needs to be more 4 p.m. 4 p.m. shows. All right, Ryan, what about you?
I'll be in Philadelphia this Friday at Next in Line, and then Saturday I'll be at St. X in DC. Also, if you're a reader, you can get my book, The Party, which is it's a novel. It's a satirical novel. You can just get it on Amazon. That's all.
Very cool. You have a book that's not about comedy. Look at you go.
I do. I do.
I love the way you just just humbly said that at the end. You're also, if you're a reader, I am a published author.
Yeah. I would have shirts that just say I'm an author at all times.
I would just honestly, like in that Uber, like when people ask you like, what do you do instead of comedy? They'd be like, what do you do? It's like, I'm an author. And then they would just have nothing to say to that. They'd be like, I'm not intelligent enough to speak to this person, so I'm just gonna leave it alone at that. They're like, where more am I taking you? You're like rumors in Winnipeg right now. Got a lot of authoring to do at Rumors in Winnipeg tonight. Oh man. Well, your next comment, your final comment coming to the stage, guys. And shout out to all you guys who've been watching. Again, keep sharing this link out with your friends. You guys, you know him, you love him. He's a KO regular. You recently saw him at the Edinburgh Fringe Fest. You've seen him performing recently in Germany. Let's give it up for the one and only Pratik Shrivastava, everybody.
Hello. Hey, everybody. And how about a hand for all the comedians we saw? Aisha, Ryan, Michael Majid. Michael, you're putting this on. You're taking the reins on this, and we salute you. Zoom comedy is not easy to have a patience for, and I salute your patience. I always feel like, I think Aisha kind of touched on this. I always feel like when I'm doing a Zoom comedy show, like I feel like I'm just yelling into my laptop and I can see the reflection of myself while I'm telling the jokes.
Hilarious.
It's very awkward. It's more awkward than when I masturbate in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah. It's a lot. Shout out to Aisha. I don't know if you remember, Aisha. You hosted the Stand Up for Diversity NBC showcase. And for those of you that don't know, like, you know, these showcases, sometimes there's industry there. It's very nerve-wracking, and the host has like the toughest job. Most comedy hosts always have the toughest job, but especially at like a industry showcase, you're setting the tone for a bunch of just like bored, like just people like this, and it's Chicago too. So just very angry crowds. And I want to give you your flowers for you did a great job hosting that night. You opened up the crowd, and I had to go first too. So you really opened it up and made me feel comfortable enough to do well. So I appreciate you hosting on shows when a lot of times host is phoning in and you did not phone it in. So I think you deserve your flowers for that. And it is good to see you again. Yeah, good to see you, Ryan, as well. Michael, yeah, it's just been good to. There is something fun sometimes about Zoom because you get to see the comics you haven't seen in a while in a fun, controlled way. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll do shows and we'll be in a green room or a coat closet. You know, if there is no green room, you're tight. And like you're trying to have a conversation, and then like, you know, the chef has to go by. They're having like they're filming the bear in the background while you're trying to. It's a lot. No, yeah. So Michael did mention been traveling a little bit in Europe. Yeah, European crowds are always fun. European comedy is very interesting. Sometimes comic, like especially in the UK, they'll like the comic will sometimes announce the topic they're going to talk about before going into it. I had to do a show in London, and this comic, like, he's doing some jokes, and all of a sudden he goes, "All right, and now for some pedo jokes." Like, he just announced, this is the pedo chunk. We're going for it, and not pedophile, not child molester, pedo. He called it pedo. He really he condensed the word. He almost cleaned it up. You know, there is something about UK slang where they clean up words, and they just like things just sound nicer in UK slang. They don't say jerk off or masturbate. They say wank. You know, like wank sounds like, isn't it? Like wank feels like a dish. You know what I'm saying? Like wank feels like a dish that Jinda in the kitchen sometimes when he shows himself. Yes. Shout out to Jinda, our audience member. If you're a KO regular, sometimes in the past on KO shows, Jinda will show himself eating while you're performing, and I appreciate that because I need to know that the people watching me do comedy are treating it like it's a podcast. I appreciate it. You had a choice between the Joe Rogan Experience or me having a breakdown on stage, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, one time I was hosting a Zoom show during the pandemic, and I could audibly hear vacuuming in the background. Like that was. I was just like, yeah, we're just going to use this as a listening device. Yeah, I wonder if people use our Zoom shows to fall asleep, like instead of. And I would use my comedy for that. Yes, I am very calming in my easy listening comedy. Yes, no, it's wild. I'm trying to think of other Zoom related things that happened. Oh yeah, one time, you know, there's a show on Monday that's still going on, Chirping Bird Comedy. Still a great show if you guys want to do it. But yeah, I was guest hosting. This is during the pandemic. And what was happening during the pandemic, sometimes you'd host a Zoom show and there'd be what was called Zoom bombers. These are people that they want to heckle, but they want to do more than heckle. They want to interrupt the show, and then they're going to take that recording and put that up online and make you know, it's like they're disrupting you, right? So we had some Zoom bombers come in, and I had kind of figured out Zoom by that point. So I was like going in and trying to remove them. It was kind of like telling jokes while playing Asteroid at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna do my punchline, but I'm gonna remove you too. Yeah. So like it was wild. So like at one point I literally saw like a full on, just not butt cheeks, but butthole, full on. Just somebody had joined the show, been like, you know, no camera, and then all of a sudden just click. I'm in the room and just like full on butthole I could see. And as I'm trying to remove them, it's just like it was they started speaking Spanish, but it was also like Nazi symbols in Spanish with butthole. So it was a bilingual white supremacist, which that blew my mind, right? like you're trying to be racist, but you're also trying to do it efficiently. Like that's a lot. More than I can expect from most races. So that's wild. Jinda just wrote Wheel of Fate versus Turfenberg. Jinda's trying to start a turf battle between KO Zoom shows. That is legend. Shout out to Jinda. Yeah. So UK was wild. I did do a show at a military base in Germany, and so I was like, oh, I gotta rattle this German material. And then I get there, it's an American military base, so it literally was like doing a show in Indiana. It was wild. I'd written all this like cool stuff about Germany, and then no, I could do. It was literally like a bunch of. They didn't even take euros. Like they were like, no, we only take dollars. It's American military base. So I did every deep cut like Midwest reference ever. Like I was doing references to like. I'll tell you one of the deep cut Midwest references that murdered over there. Let's see if it works in this Zoom room. But I was doing a show. I was doing a joke about how, as comics we do a lot of shows in dive bars and on the road. So I'm like, I've done so many shows at dive bars that have either like the Golden Tee golf machine playing in the background or the Guns N' Roses themed pinball machine. It's at the point now where I have dreams about the Guns N' Roses themed pinball machine, and in these dreams, I'm playing pinball on my knees, and man, they love that reference. Like, yeah. And I'm not saying that's an amazing joke, but it is the best Guns N' Roses themed pinball joke you will ever hear. All right, you take those two concepts and you just smash them together. It's a lot. I did turn on my fan again, so hopefully there's no echo. I'm glad we got rid of the echo. I was trying to just subtly. I told Michael I'll be a little late, and I'm like, how can I come in and not? Because that's the thing as comics. When we show up to a show late, we don't want to, become like draw attention to ourselves. And even on Zoom, every time I manage to make noise, and that's how I know Zoom is just like any other comedy show. Yes, that's wild. Yeah. So this happened a couple of years ago, and I don't really tell this on stage too much, but Aisha talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm inspired me to tell this, so I'll try to make this quick. But and again, this sounds very name droppy, but and funny enough, it didn't happen in LA. It happened in Chicago. So I know LA is very name droppy, but this happened in Chicago. So I started comedy many years ago, and kind of when I had started, a close friend of mine who was in the music world, he was very encouraging to me. He actually went with me to my first two open mics, at which frankly I'd rather nobody had gone there. Like I kind of like it was that thing of you want your friends to come initially, but then at one point it's like, no, I need nobody I know to be here while I just extol verbal diarrhea for like a year and a half. So it was great that he came for the first two, and then he went away. I even wanted to come back to like I think one of my first shows. I'm like, just let these jokes just get them some. I have to just. It's like masturbating before having sex. Like you need to just get it out once. Like no, like don't come. Like, but he was very encouraging. I'm still friends with him to this day. So we were in Chicago. I'd maybe been doing comedy for like a year and a half. There's a very famous music venue in Chicago called the Metro. We're there for like a secret show. My friend, he does a lot of stuff with hip hop artists. He makes a lot of beats. He's very he's been uncredited on a lot of great albums. So we're at the secret show, and Chicago's own Kanye West shows up. Obviously Kanye West in the last few years had a bit of a turn in terms of public opinion about him. He's made some questionable statements in the media. He said some things that we're not sure about. But at the time, this was I think right after Gold Digger had come out. So, he was on the rise, very popular. He was at a secret show, and I'm not one to feel comfortable in like backstage after parties. Like it's a lot of cool looking people here. Everybody's dressed nicely. It's music. I don't really know the music world, so I was kind of in the background. I was kind of talking to my friend, and then my friend who he had made some beats for Kanye West. He was talking to Kanye. He looked over at me. I should not be part of this conversation at all. He's like, "Hey, Kanye, this is my friend Pratik. He's been doing stand-up comedy for a couple of years, and I shit you not." The full-on like we hear about stories about Kanye West being autistic. The autisticness, like the autism, came out in full force. He ran from my friend. He ran up to me, and he literally said this again. This reminds me of what Aisha said. He said, "I love stand-up comedy. Do you know Larry David?" He literally said, like when you go to those open mics and like, you know, you see the comics who can't make eye contact properly and they want to talk about some obscure, like, oh, remember like Mad Magazine from 1970? Like that's what Kanye, he want to talk about Larry David. He want to talk about Kids in the Hall. We spent 10 minutes talking about the Dr. Seuss Bible sketch from Kids in the Hall. Like this man is a comedy nerd. A lot of people don't know, like when he had that one video for Can't Tell Me Nothing, he had Zach Galifianakis before pre-hangover. Like he knew about Galifianakis pre-hangover. He's very much a comedy nerd, you know. Again, bringing backpacks to shows, like that's comedy nerd 101. Backpack to the show. Except for me, when you look like this, you can't do that. But every other dude, you can. That's the one racial reference. No, there'll be more. You know my act. I talk about my race all the time. No, but yeah, we talk about Kids in the Hall. And then he keeps asking me about Larry David, and he keeps saying like, yeah, you know, I like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I wanna do my own version of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where I say stupid things and I piss people off. And when I see Kanye West in the news now, I'm like, I think he's kind of living his Larry David. Saying a lot of stupid shit and he's pissing people off. So maybe it's all just an act. I don't know. Or it's ketamine. Like my friend said, like he's probably on ketamine right now. So he's either a comedic genius or he needs all the help in the world. Yeah. I love him. And then that's the thing. Like, you know, yes, I don't want anyone to think I don't condone any of the things he's saying. It is very troubling to hear him say this stuff, but it is that thing of, you know, do you still listen to the music? Do you listen to these problematic artists still? And, you know, there's a great debate about that. Should you give money to these people? Don't give money to them, Pratik. Don't give money to Kanye West. Don't listen to his stuff. But I'm like, you know, I did find a loophole because I listened to his stuff on Spotify. So I'm not giving my money to him because no artists get paid on Spotify. You know how I know this? You can find my album there and I get 1 cent for every million downloads. Yeah. That is a loophole. Corporate overlords. Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. I know Ryan and Aisha and Michael, we all know about the, when you got an album out, it's got to be #1 on the iTunes comedy charts because that is an important credit to have. But then you realize you get it, and then you realize a day later nobody cares. Like no club is booking you because of this. We're #1 for 30 minutes on December 22nd. I did get to beat John Mulaney. That was cool because his album was tracking because that was the day he went to rehab famously. So all his stuff was tracking a lot. But for 30 minutes, I was #1 and I saved that screenshot. We'll frame it and we'll put it up one day whenever I can figure out how to, you know, get like a kind of, you know, like I like Ryan's office and background. Like you got like the posters up and everything. Like that's cool. Like I need to do that. All I have up is some artwork that my mother did in 1986, which is that's pretty cool too. My mom, by the way, side note, yes, my family is originally from India. My mother is an artist. She wanted to be a doctor, but her conservative Indian parents told her no, go into something more stable like interior design, which that's such like a mind fuck. We are the bizarro world of the immigrant experience. My mother wanted to go into something like medicine, and she was told no. Like what? Like Indian people don't even believe me when I say that. They're like, no, that doesn't. You're a BS thing now. So what are you doing? And then the Curb Your Enthusiasm plays. Like they like, they don't believe me, but it's true. Yes, my mother wanted to be a doctor, and then she was told, no, you can't do that. And there were a myriad of reasons why they didn't want her to do that, and whatever, she wanted to do it. But then she went into art, and she ended up liking that. So who would have thought that the safety net job ended up giving her more of an artistic passion anyway? So it worked out. It didn't financially help, but it was, you know, you pay rent with your inside. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's wild. Yeah, it is such a, you know, when you think about Indian stereotypes, like, oh, and I've had good friends of mine go like, hey, Pratik, I don't know if you have like a cousin who's a doctor, but I need a prescription Lexapro. Like, could your family hook it up? Yeah. No one's hooking it up. I got 2 cousins that are kind of doctors, and I say kinda because they got their medical degree from the Caribbean islands. So I don't know how. That's like getting your business degree from Trump University. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like if you learned about Sergio or wearing Crocs on the beach, there's a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out. It's called Pirates of the Caribbean versus the med students from the Caribbean who killed more people. You know, it's wild. No, it's wild because, like, you know, obviously DEI is such a big topic right now. Everybody's so frustrated about it, but I have to admit, like, just in doctor, like, I have like, you know, what would be considered a problematic doctor. I have an old white guy for a doctor, and, you know, it should be considered problematic. But I'll be frank with all of you, I'm really happy with my old white guy doctor. He fucking rules because he's made his money already. He's been in the industry forever, so he's not worried about, like, well, I don't know, you should take he's made all his extra testing money. The pharmaceutical companies have paid him off. He has 10 votes. He's good. He's been to the south of France 10 million times, so he just gives it to me straight. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you want from a doctor. You don't want someone who goes, well, I don't know what that mole is. Oh, it looks like the state of Louisiana, but we need to do this test and this test. And, like, you have to do 10 million tests, and you got to, you know, find the Declaration of Independence with Nicolas Cage, and that's the only way you'll find out what your mole is. You know what I mean? Like, whereas he's like, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, that weird mole? No, it should look like this. And then he'll show, like, he has such a Rolodex of patients. And clearly he's old, so he doesn't care about HIPAA. So he's like literally showing me pictures of his old patients, like, no, make sure it looks like this. Because I'm like the WebMD generation where I'm like, am I dying? He's like, no, do this. No, it doesn't look like this. Shut the fuck up. He actually said to me one time, like, shut up. Like, it's fine. You're not dying. Is that problematic? Yes. But it gave me the peace of mind that this neurotic comedian needed to feel good. So I am pro DEI, but I also like my old Mike Van doctor. He's a cool dude. All right. I know this because I had an Indian person as a doctor once. Every single thing they said was, I don't know. I'm like, you're a medical professional. I am paying you so much right now. All you're saying is, I don't know. I worked at Best Buy and we weren't allowed to say, I don't know. You know what I mean? What's going on? Like, this is bizarro world. Yeah. To bring it back to what Ryan was talking about with improv, that old white man doctor, you know what his son does? Improv. I have gone to see my doctor's son's improv team. Then we hang out afterwards. I hang out with my old white man doctor. It's wild, man. And then and I've been wanting to just, like, you know, when we hang out, be like, you know, your dad has touched my testicles, right? I have paid money to your father, who you've known for 10 years because of the whole thing. I've paid money to your father to touch my testicles. Yeah. He has fingered my taint. Yes. And I appreciate what I needed at the time. I look to nobody. I look to the heavens. I look to hell. And I realize the only man that can do that is Dr. So-and-so. I won't say his name. On here. You'll probably watch the replay of this later. It is this show is within his network, so he is allowed to watch. All right, we've been on this too long. There's been a lot. I'll leave. This is one thing I do want to talk about real quick. So I don't know how it is with you guys, but, like, I have nieces and nephews. But they're not like my direct, like, you know, siblings. You know, I have cousins' kids, and they call me Uncle Pratik. I think that's very, you know, I think that's something, you know, with my white comedian friends don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They're like, wait, so your sister has a kid? I'm like, no, she doesn't have any kids. Like, my cousins have kids, and they call me uncle. I think that's like a first generation immigrant thing. But, like, yeah, I'm like a random uncle to all these kids. Some of them I've met for the first time, which is great. You know, because that's the thing. The bar for being an uncle is on the ground. Like, there's no such thing as a deadbeat uncle. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not visiting your niece and nephew, then you're just no longer in their life. Like, you're not like, oh, I could come back later. Like, no, you're either in or you're out. Like, there's no in between when you're an uncle. Like, the stakes are so low. The bar for entry is so low. Like, I remember one of my nephews, big baseball guy. So I was actually going up to Vancouver. So I went back to LA. I got him, like a Dodgers. There's like this really nice Dodgers like snow globe. You know what I'm saying? There's like the logo, has a couple of the hats within the snow globe, and I give it to this nephew. He looked at it. I could see like the glimmer in his eyes. He was really happy with it. And then he shook that up, and he just hurled that thing at the wall. He broke that immediately. Yeah. His mom, his dad, they were freaking out. They're like, how could Pradeep got that thing for you? How are you, like, you don't appreciate that thing at all? And I just popped up and said, I think he appreciated a lot. In those 10 seconds, he really appreciated it. He was so happy that he took this thing. He's a baseball guy. He wants to throw it against the wall. Like, I provided him joy for those 10 seconds that I don't think he's experienced before, which is something I say to all my ex-girlfriends all the time. So, it's not always about holding on to things forever. Like, what's he going to do? Hold on to it for years, and it gets dusty, and then he tries to eBay it off. But, eBay takes 30% away, so you can't just give it right away, and they charge extra for shipping. But if you forget to pay for your shipping credit, then they end up charging you $19.99, and then you got to call Srinivas in Sri Lanka on the Uber tech support line, and he's eating something while he's talking to you, and you're just trying to figure out how do you sell your little no. This is not related to okay, no, not at all. Yeah, eBay is not fun. I have like a Rolling Stone issue of Ozzy Osbourne who passed away, and it's taking forever to try to sell it. So if my little cousin, or not little cousin, oh my God, you're seeing the wires come off from the stand-ups. Like, pay no attention to the Mariette that's in the background. No. My little nephew wanted to throw that thing away and break it. If he got joy out of that, that's all right with me. You know what? Because I'm all right being a hero in his mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like he has a father who's like, his father does TED Talks on black holes. And somehow me, comedian Pradeep Srivastava, I just play dinosaur with him for 2 seconds and I'm his fucking hero. Like, that's amazing. His dad has given TED Talks where Justin Trudeau has been there. And they both were wearing blackface at the time. It was wild. The whole thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the bar for entry for being uncle is so low. So I will leave you with. I know I said it was ending, but I'll leave you with this. I had my own kind of third removed uncle situation where this was a guy named Uncle Scott. He actually, one of the last times I got to see him, Brian, was right before I did Oino Vino. He used to live in Visalia in California. He took his Volkswagen bus. A very, very old school Democrat, old school hippie dude. He took his Volkswagen bus. He tried to park in that Oino Vino parking lot, which is not easy to do. As you guys know, so he was there. He didn't even want to go to the show. He just wanted to talk to me for like 10 minutes. Like, this is like an hour before showtime. So I'm talking to him, and it was one of those things where, he used to do this thing where he would call kids that were sick and pretend to be Santa Claus, because a lot of kids who were sick, they can't go to the mall and see Santa Claus in real life. And I remember I told him that. I said, Uncle Scott, I know you're not, you're kind of living out of the van right now. You're not doing so well, but when you told me you did that really instilled a sense of the holiday spirit in me. And I want to say, thank you, Uncle Scott. And I could see again, just like my nephew, he got a glimmer in his eye. He was feeling good. And then he reached in his back pocket. I thought, oh, what's Santa Claus going to pull out now? He's going to pull out a candy cane. He's going to pull out a little tree or a Christmas ornament or maybe my own snow globe. He pulls out a bag of cocaine. Yeah. I had a choice. Do I do cocaine with Santa Claus? It was a white Christmas indeed. Hey, this has been fantastic. Give it up for all the comedians you've seen. Thank you, Michael Magic. Thank you.
One more time for the one and only Pradeep Srivastava. And Pradeep, my favorite thing was when you're like, I know I said one more time earlier on. By then, my AirPods had died. I did go. I pulled a Michael Magic. that is a reference if you guys ever went to HI Santa Monica, where if I would go last, and I had no idea how long I had been on the stage because no one had given me the light, and sometimes
I think the other comedians didn't want to give you the light. They were like, "Oh, Pradeep, can you do it?" So I would try. I would attempt to give the light. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Well, one more time for all the comics you saw tonight, guys. The one and only family, Ryan Conner, Aisha Alfa, Pratik Shrivastava. I've been Michael Magid. Again, guys, follow us at Comedy in English on all social medias.
Yeah.
We got different lineups every show. Eventbrite for the RSVP if you want to join us in the Zoom room. Keep watching on the streams. Keep sharing the links out with your friends. Keep supporting comedy. If you want to keep donating, you can. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Stripe. It's all in the comments section or in the show notes, as the kids like to call it. Aisha, Ryan, Pratik, anything you guys want to add before we head out?
Just keep supporting comedy, whether it's live or Zoom. Yeah. Just keep
Be nice to each other. Let's all just be nice to each other in life, in the world.
Yeah.
This is going to make a difference when I say this. So don't worry, guys. Solved it.
Yeah.
Solved
They'll
it.
flip the switch.
All right, guys. I've been Michael Magid. We will see you next time. I still got to figure out an outro. We're out. Later.
Later.
Bye.
All right. Stop sharing. Yeah. Thanks for joining, guys. Hope you had fun.